Imagine walking through a quiet, centuries-old village or town, its streets worn by time, the wind howling as a thick fog rolls in, casting everything in an eerie haze. Suddenly, a shadowy figure emerges from the mist, standing just beyond your reach. Before you can even blink, it vanishes, leaving behind only the unsettling feeling that you're not alone. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to explore 5 of the most haunted towns and villages in the world. Throughout history, some towns and villages around the world have developed eerie reputations for being haunted by spirits. From chilling ghost sightings to unexplained phenomena, these places seem to be shrouded in mystery and terror. 1. Pluckley, England. Pluckley, a quaint village nestled in the English countryside, is known not for its beauty, but for its reputation as the most haunted village in England. To any eye, it just looks like a quiet, rural town. However, one who knows its dark past speaks of ghosts haunting nearly every corner. The most fearsome tale is probably that of Screaming Man. Centuries ago, the bricklayer met his untimely demise in a terrible accident at the village brickworks. His agonizing death left his ghostful spirit restless. Many dark travelers passing the scene claim to have heard his death's blood-curdling screams piercing the stillness of the night. Sounds so scary that local people will not tread along the remains of the old brickworks, especially when the wind blows, because some have said it brings his cries into the air. Then there's the story of the Red Lady, a ghostly figure haunting the churchyard of St. Nicholas. According to the legend, she was buried in a coffin lined in red silk, and her restless spirit roams the graveyard searching for a lost child. Many have seen her hovering about the headstones, her figure shrouded in a scarlet cloak. Certain nights, a strange red glow is said to play upon the graves. Braver souls who will venture closer often claim that an awful cold seeps into their bones as they move closer to the graves. There is also said to be a spirit of the village, the ghost of a schoolmaster who in a fit of despair hanged himself in a tree aside the road. He is heard swinging from the branches, witnessed by sleepy motorists or lone wanderers who travel through the night. Some claim they have witnessed the shadow, a black figure which swings in the moonlight, only to disappear when it feels that you are getting closer. The most notable ghost remains to be the phantom horse, drawn coach. According to popular legend, during quiet evenings, one can hear the clip-clopping of the horse's hooves and the creaking of the wooden wheels as the ghostly carriage makes its way through the village, only to disappear before one could catch a glimpse of it. Over a dozen reported hauntings make Pluckley less of a pretty village and more of a place where the past simply refuses to stay buried. Those visitors who come will more than likely leave with memories of a pretty little town, but they're most probably going to leave with an uneasy feeling, as though something followed them home unseen. 2. Sighisoara, Romania. Sighisoara, with its cobblestone roads and Gothic architecture, has another reputation from being the birthplace of Vlad the Impaler, a brutal ruler whose bloody exploits inspired the legend of Dracula. Yet behind its charming facade lies much darker, more blood-soaked secrets. Stories of restless spirits haunting the streets as if searching for something in the countless corners that would carry reminders of the dark blood-drenched past. In the middle of town is the clock tower, a historical building where so many executions, battles, and betrayals happened. Many say that the wrong spirits remain inside its walls. Strange things keep happening in the clock tower as people start hearing disembodied footsteps going up the stone staircases, even when no one is inside. Some even report to feel cold hands brushing against their skin, as if spirits of the past are trying to pull them into history. The horror of Scholars' Stairs is also famous. This covered wooden stairway constructed during the 17th century was used by school children going to the church at the hilltop. But locals say that at midnight, anyone brave enough to tread these stairs might have far more serious battles with evil. Air inside the stairwell becomes chillingly cold, and shadows move as no beams of light would throw them. Some hear slight, mournful whispers, voices of long-gone souls that are trapped between life and death. Perhaps the most terrible sight in Sighisoara is the church on the hill. Set above the town, the old Gothic church is ringed with the ancient cemetery. Here it is said, the dead rose from their eternal sleep. Many visitors report seeing ghostly apparitions drifting on the mist, gliding soundlessly between the stones. On some nights, the faintest chime of church bells can be heard tolling within an empty church. Dark happenings have also besmirched the reputation of this town. During the Middle Ages, many accused witches were tortured and executed here. According to the legend, their souls were condemned never to find peace. According to the legend, some say the tortured souls haunt the alleyways of Sighisoara seeking vengeance on those who wronged them. Locals even warn people not to travel along certain roads at night because of these spirits, whose appearance is accompanied by feelings of intense fear and cold. Behind the beauty and history of Sighisoara is a creepy atmosphere even the most adventurous tourist cannot disregard. In this town where the line between historical events and horror can turn rather unclear, an old ghost sticks around, waiting for an opportunity to remind themselves of its presence. 3. Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, Georgia may be famous for its southern charm and tree-lined streets, but its history is so dark that many consider it one of the most haunted towns in America and in the world. Founded in 1733, Savannah has experienced centuries of tragedy, war, fires, epidemics, and with each calamity, the ghostly residents have grown in number, refusing to leave the places where they met their end. One of the town's more infamous haunts is the Mercer Williams house. This grand, stately home is a magnet for ghost hunters and thrill seekers, though those who enter often leave with far more than some stories. The mansion is said to be haunted by a resident spirit, a young boy who fell from the roof to his death. Visitors claim to hear the echo of his footsteps running through the halls and hear the sound of distant laughter from a child. Then there's Bonaventure Cemetery, a sprawling graveyard draped in Spanish moss. It's said that, after dark, the statues inside the cemetery come to life. That the most terrible, however, would be Little Gracie's statue, a child who died of pneumonia when she was 6 years old. At vigil laid upon her grave, the very lifelike statue of Little Gracie sometimes seems to have gazing eyes that follow those passing by, and still it is said by some that she wept upon the stone cheeks of her granite effigy. Beyond the great homes and graveyards, there is a history haunted in Savannah. The streets themselves are said to be alive with restless dead. Colonial Park Cemetery, in the middle of town, is particularly notorious for ghostly activity. During the yellow fever epidemic that cut down the city in the 1800s, bodies were buried in mass graves beneath the cemetery. These days, shadowy figures are seen moving between the tombstones, vanishing when approached. Here, spirits are thought to have been killed by the epidemic, and those buried during the city's bloody duels, men who die violent deaths, forever bound to the place where they fell. River Street, once a trading and commercial center, is now met at night by the footsteps of mariners doomed to horror. Many walking late at night suddenly have experienced a chill or have heard the slightest clinking of chains. Some have said that ghostly sailors appear at the riverbank with grimy faces, only to vanish into mist rolling off the Savannah River. The past never really leaves in Savannah, and the ghosts of those who suffered, died, and were buried here are still here today. It's a town where history does bleed into the present. 4. Pripyat, Ukraine. Pripyat, the Ukrainian city once full of life, now lies abandoned since the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986. This ghost town now stands as an ominous reminder of human error and environmental catastrophe, clothed in an unsettling atmosphere where nature is reclaiming her territory and the echoes of its past living in silence. As one walks through Pripyat, it resembles stepping into a time capsule gone bad. Buildings lie in ruins, overgrown with vines, where parts of the routine in life, kids' toys, gas masks, furniture, seem to have been scattered. The abandoned amusement park, with rusty Ferris wheels and sleepy bumper cars, is a bleak scenario of innocence lost. It's here that clings the spirits of children who used to laugh and play. The Palace of Culture is considered one of the most haunted places in Pripyat. Once a hub of city life, now an empty space where people entering it get severe sadness with anxiety. It is filled with a swirling mist of desperation, and one can almost hear the faint whispers and soft cries. The souls that belong to the residents, who were never permitted to take their belongings along, remain forever trapped in the Palace of Culture. The tragedy has even been testified by the Hotel Policia. Visitors claim to have experienced inexplicable cold spots and the feeling that they are being followed while going down the poorly lit corridors of the hotel. Some have even claimed to have seen shadowy figures moving in and out of the corridors. There are similarities with the original inhabitants who populate this hotel, but only shadows remain. The foresters have gained possession of the surrounding region, yet the natives who reside in the vicinity talk about the occurrences of strange happenings. There are calls through disembodied voices coming from the woods, and the wildlife is differently portrayed through reports of viciously aggressive animals and thereby hinted danger. Pripyat acts as a haunting reminder of how the life that thrives in it can, in an instant, become fragile, and how the negligence of man can change its face in the blink of an eye. The city stands as an eerie testament to a gruesome history. It scares off those bold enough to travel into its forgotten depths, haunted by the spirits of the dead. 5. Pangar, India. Pangar village in Rajasthan, India, is not just another abandoned settlement. It's a place where the veil between the living and the dead seems disturbingly thin. Lying in the Aravalli Hills, this 17th century village lies in tatters, taken over by rank vegetation and crumbling ruins. Yet it's not the decay that haunts Pangar, it is the curse. Legend has it that there lived a very powerful sorcerer who fell deeply in love with Princess Ratnavati of Pangar. He wanted to marry her so badly that he used black magic by putting the perfume he intended to present to her into an enchanted bottle. The princess, however, knew of this plan, so she hurled the vial on the boulder and crushed the sorcerer under the spell. As he was inhaling his last breath, he said that no one would ever exist in the village once again. Soon after his death, Pangar was attacked and all the people living there were massacred. It was swallowed by fear and silence. To this day, no one dares to stay within the village after sunset. The Archaeological Survey of India even put up signs stating entry into the village was prohibited after dark due to paranormal activities. People who have gone to the fort until dusk say that they hear some strange noises at dusk, chanted voices, laughter, and phantom-like footsteps. Some claim to see ghostly figures passing through ruins, as if the agony for them goes on forever and ever about that accursed day. The sun sets over Pangar, casting an almost palpable darkness over the place. It's a feeling of not being able to breathe in. People share stories of those who didn't leave in time. They would later on be found dead, frozen faces full of terror. Most of the locals feel that the curse from the sorcerer still captures lost souls so as not to progress. Pangar is not deserted, it is abandoned. The stillness of the ruin during the daytime gives way to repressed spirits on nights, doomed to wander the very remains of life they knew and loved. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more creepy stories. Which of these stories gave you a chilling experience? Let us know. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that are real.